meet you in person then.
Hello,
Excellent.
everyone.
Howdy, everybody.
It's pretty.
We are live here with Romancing the Stones. New alert, who dis? Chat. All right, hi, chat. Yeah, we're live with our schools out, our second year with that. I'm here with Lorian. Thank you, Lorian. How you doing?
Hey, great, man. How are you doing?
I am excited to stream some middle school.
I am as well.
We've got Brian Hockey on the left, and we've got Chad on the right playing some fun, interesting decks. Some stuff that we've seen here before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be
That's gonna be great.
a shit show.
Yeah,
we hear Brian. Let me see if I can fix that. But go ahead, Lauren.
Oh yeah, sure. So Brian is on a green-black kind of like value necro deck, very similar to a build that Brian Tweedy got. Did he top 8? Did he get?
Yeah, I believe he did top 8 with a version of this list. So it is a version of green black. So it plays a lot of the same cards as the Rock, but it has a different approach to creatures, which I find very interesting. And when Tweedy played it, he was very successful. So we'll see if the other Brian can find some success with that as well.
Yes. Yeah, I believe he got to the semifinals. Yeah, so the basic idea here is, Pernicious Deed is a great card. Necropotence is a great card. You know what's another great card? Entomb.
Yep.
So you can play Call of the Herd, Cabal Therapy with that. The One of Nether Spirit, of Asara the Dreadful, Nishoba, a few reanimation effects, lots of another 4 duress, and you're pretty much good to go.
I remembered when Tweedy was playing the deck, his favorite thing to do was cast Cabal Therapy and then Nether Spirit with Cabal Therapy. And it was real good, and you get to play 2 halves of Cabal Therapy without really any downside. So there's a lot of really strong interactions, strong magic in here.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny to entomb a Nether Spirit. Like,
Yep.
What the hell are you doing? Like, is that really the best use of entomb? But actually, it is. It's actually one of the best uses of entomb is just to get the Nether Spirit value train going.
It is. And, he's got that, in the list there is a single contamination, which is really good with Nether Spirit. But his opponent is also playing black cards. So contamination, not the hard lock in this case. So Chad is playing, I believe, a Psycatog list.
Yep.
Which is near and dear to everybody who plays middle school. They all like the big old smile. So tell us a bit about that deck.
Yeah, so this is a slightly... There's a lot of different ways you can take Psycatog. There's the classic blue-black style. There's also blue-black-red, blue-black-white. So Chad is playing blue-black-red for things like Fire, Ice, Pyroclasm. Pretty easy to splash because black-red are ally colors. So it's not terribly hard to splash red in that. So it looks like so far Chad has duressed away a Pernicious Deed, but Brian has played a Powder Keg. Yeah. So in general, I would say that I think this match favors Brian pretty heavily. It's very hard to get a Psycatog to stick with so much discard and with so much removal with things like Pernicious Deed, Smother. Brian's got 3 main deck copies of Smother. Like this is not a good matchup. And like, a lot of your card advantage cards will get you're forced to discard.
So Brian Hockey is casting Duress, a Japanese alternate art copy, and it's immediately is that Prohibit? I believe that he just got Prohibited.
That is Prohibit, yeah. That is.
Yes. So Chad deciding you do not get to see my hand. You'll get to take this counter spell, and I'm going to keep playing the game. Now we did see an Entomb for another Spirit, so Hockey's on this grinding value train. We'll see if we've got the follow-up Cabal Therapy for the shenanigans or what we're going to see. But I definitely, I'm kind of on your appraisal here that Hockey's got a lot of good tools against the Psycatog deck. If Psycatog has to win in the red zone, there's a lot of ways that Hockey has to stop that from happening. So we'll see if Chad can get to the point of the game where he's got enough counter magic and control cards to kind of carve a path to victory. But it might be a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing, so Chad is playing the Cunning Wish sideboard. So he can do, he could do like a Shadow Rift to get through all of the blockers. He could Cunning Wish for Shadow Rift, but like the Psycatog has to be in play. So I think one problem that this deck runs into is it kind of needs the Cunning Wish to get so Chad is also playing Shallow Grave. So like, you can Cunning Wish for the Shallow Grave, and that often is a road to victory. But then on top of that, you also need the Shadow Rift to actually connect. So you need 2 Cunning Wishes to resolve. It's just not as likely, especially
That's
when he's
hard,
running
especially against all these duress effects. Well, we saw Chad cast Smother, which we noted that Brian Hockey has, to just smother this treetop village, which is a pretty great 2-mana removal spell. Land destruction, get rid of a 3/3 trampler. I think this is great. Now we're seeing Nether Spirit get in the red zone.
Yeah.
A problematic creature for control decks that don't have a lot of blockers. Just because it does provide a clock and it's hard to get rid of. But we're going to respond with Fact or Fiction. We've got what looks like an interesting pile. Was that Accumulated Knowledge, Swamp, Pyroclasm, Smother, and Card with Glare?
I think another land. Yeah.
Okay, that looks might be Polluted Delta. Maybe. Or another Swamp. Oh, we're going to figure out. If that is another land, I feel like this Accumulated Knowledge and land might go in one, or this Accumulated Knowledge might be just by itself, because I don't know, we'll see. I feel like Pyroclasm is relatively irrelevant in this matchup.
Yes, I agree. So it looks like Hockey is splitting Accumulated Knowledge, Pyroclasm land versus Smother land.
Okay.
So that's an interesting split. So for whatever reason, Hockey values that Smother a bit higher than the Accumulated Knowledge. So that might be based on him having maybe like if he had Call of the Herd, he probably would have played it. Or maybe
I would think he would play it. I mean, Call of the Herd does very well against Smother. You only get 1/2.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pit it against Accumulated Knowledge either way, but and I guess you're getting, valuable card and land, and valuable card land, and a card that doesn't matter. So, the Pyroclasm is nice. It does pitch to Psycatog, so it is more fuel. So
that's true.
So that is something to consider, right? If you think card draw is more important, put the Pyroclasm with the Smother. If you don't, So is Hockey thinking about that? Does he actually really value that Smother, so much that he wants to put the card value on the other side? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the fun of Fact or Fiction piles.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty poor Fact or Fiction pile. Like, not the strongest Fact or Fiction pile we've ever seen. So, okay, so Hockey does have the Call of the Herd.
He does.
I mean, this is a pretty fast clock without Smother. So he can create 6 power next turn. The Pyroclasm only gets rid of the Nether Spirit, which immediately comes back. So Hockey is probably just kind of taking an aggro. Probably doesn't have much else in his hand. He's just kind of taking an aggro lead here.
Well, and we see just how much of a problem this is for Chad. He's taking it. He's pitching a blue card. He's taking 1 life.
Does he have another Fact or Fiction?
Let's see. He's got a Cunning Wish. Okay. So Chad down to 14. Hockey still at 20.
So he doesn't have any.
Okay. Wow. We're using that to get rid of. Wow. This one Call of the Herd is getting rid of 3 cards.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, and 2.5. And he's probably going to Pyroclasm here and then Coffin Purge the Nether Spirit. That's what I would.
That's fair. We do have that. Okay. So that is a good call. All right. So. Okay, so this was actually really solid because we get Coffin Purge, got 2 problematic cards out of the way. And that means Hockey has to have some solid things. He's got 2 cards left in hand, it appears. We do have this Powder Keg, old version. And it's on 2 counters. I imagine Hockey will immediately move that to 3 as soon as he sees our teethy friend here.
Yeah, it's an interesting play from Hockey. So Hockey's not 100% sure that Chad is on Pyroclast or on Psycatog, and is probably thinking to himself like, well, why put it on 3 when this could answer threats on 2? It's easy to switch it up to 3 if I need to.
Sure.
So just taking his time.
I think that makes perfect sense. There's no reason to. You're not pressured to move it now. I don't believe Chad has any way to interact with this powder keg. But look at this fact or fiction. Now the cat's definitely out of the bag. We've got 2 Psychatogs. You want both in your hand. You're only going to get 1 probably. And then we've got 2 more land and another. Is that another fact or fiction?
That's another fact or fiction. This is a very hard split. I mean, you might usually in the situation, yeah. You want to put the Psychatogs together because Psychatog plus fact or fiction is so much better, and you just kind of like
Agreed.
accept the fact that you're going to have to dig through 2 Psychatogs.
Well, and Hockey could be sitting on Smothers, and so if we get Smother in this keg, then we have the option of smothering one of these Psychatogs, and if it gets counterspelled, then you still have this keg, and then you have time to maybe deal with the second one. But
yeah, exactly. There's not a lot in his hand that he wouldn't play out here. I guess it's possible he could have a Pernicious Deed and just doesn't want to commit it to the board quite yet, but
that's reasonable because a deed is only going to get rid of your powder keg.
Yeah, exactly.
And overloading Chad's counterspells is really the way you beat this control deck.
Right.
Because there's inevitability in Hockey's deck. He'll draw another Call the Herd. Also, Pernicious Deed does not interact well with your 3/3 tokens, so that's another good reason to keep it in hand when you've got the powder keg in play. But so far, this has been pretty interesting. Chad finding a way out of the Nether Spirit, kind of lock.
Yeah,
not really lock, but getting rid of that was no small feat. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Hockey already has 1 answer in the form of a powder keg on 3. Yep. And interestingly, Chad didn't leave up double blue, so he's signaling he doesn't have a counterspell here. He could, of course, have another
Force
prohibit
plus second Psychatog.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Right? Pitching Psychatog to Force. I mean, we got 2 of them,
Yeah.
So we did see Hockey immediately move up to 3 counter, so we've got that. We're probably... Do you think we play a card if we have it? I mean, this untapped mana, that seems bad, but if you've got a deed in hand, you can smother. If that gets countered, you get to blow the keg and then drop a deed. But I guess, we're going to force the action with Chad. I mean, there's no reason not to. Hockey's at 20. We're going to make him make this big, and then we'll just decide to blow it up when we want to.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, not a great spot for Chad to be in. I mean, it's like, he can't attack for that much. He can maybe get through for 3 or 4. It's kind of a guessing game as to when Hockey will blow the powder keg, at what point. Because he wouldn't blow it at 1. If Chad just attacked for 1 and that was it, and there were no tricks.
No. There's no... I agree. I'll take 1. Use the life total as a resource. Keep playing the game. Which is what we see Hockey do. So, Psychatog gets in for 3. Hockey down to 17. And then Hockey draws a card and passes the turn. So we're just gonna play this and hope that Hockey's hoping he's got good cards. We'll see. I mean, if Chad's going to take these just little chip shots, then Hockey's got plenty of time, and he definitely has more cards in his deck to kind of deal with this. We could draw Cabal Therapy and get rid of the other Psychatog. I mean, that's strong.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
If we draw a Treetop Village, that'll block pretty well, and then we'll really force Chad to have to commit if he wants to save that. So, or another Call of the Herd.
I wonder if Hockey has something like Phantom Neshoba in hand, something that he just cannot play.
Sure. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 7 land, 8 land, but none of them tap for white. So. Oh, we're going to deploy the second Psychatog. That is...
Pre-combat. What is that about?
Chad must really... Did he have a third one? Does he really want to just get rid of this?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have the reanimation spell. We may be looking for kill next turn. Oh, we do have a third one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't
like that at all. Because, look at this. And there's no counter spell. Okay, so Hockey has been sitting on his Smother. That kind of was a disaster.
Yep. It's possible that Chad has another Cunning Wish in hand, so he could Cunning Wish for Shallow Grave.
Right. That might be. I mean, because that's the plan at the moment. Are we going to reanimate dead a Psycatog?
That's the plan here.
A
why 0-2 or no? What is it? A 1-1?
It's no, it's a 0-2 because it gets -1, -0. So it'd be a 0-2. But we have a treetop village. I don't. Did we? Is there something else? No, there's no other creature card in Hockey's yard. Are we just doing it to remove card? Oh, we're gonna force it though, so it doesn't matter. We won't ever find out exactly what Hockey had. Oh. All right. So there's the joke. That was the bait spell. Now we've got a Necro. Hockey's gonna reload his hand if this resolves. I don't believe Chad has another force in blue card.
All right, so let's see. So Hockey's pretty. Oh no, that was a mistake. So if Hockey kept the Treetop Village back, I think he would have a hard time losing this game. But he can totally lose to Cunning Wish, Shadow Rift here if Chad has enough cards. He may not actually have enough.
Well, Hockey's down to 9. He drew a bunch of cards with Necropotence. So at 9, we've got a hand of.
Okay.
How many cards? Okay, there's the 4th Psycatog. It doesn't have haste, so that's a problem. But now Hockey has to manage his life total because, like you said, there's Shadow Rift. Whether that's on Hockey's radar, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we have, Hockey untaps. He's got a lot of mana available, and he's got a full grip. So he needs to find a way to either answer this Psycatog, which will really put Chad in a bind because he will. Oh, we're just going to hardcast Vasar the Dreadful and hope to untap next turn.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, so do we think Hockey draws any cards here? Do we think he's at 9? Chad's at 10. We're gonna cast Animate Dead again. Okay, so that's a this is solid. So this is a blocker at least. So I think Chad, if he's got I believe 2 cards in hand. If we can draw the Cunning Wish, that's 4 mana. 1 more mana gets the Shadow Rift.
He has Fact or Fiction mana up. I think he's already played 2. There might be 2 or even 3 in the yard. So
I don't think he's played his other Fact or Fiction, the one that we saw him. No, he chose the Psychatogs over the Fact or Fiction.
He chose the Psychatogs, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, maybe if that would be real big game because then if Chad can get the Cunning Wish, that I believe he's got enough resources. Hockey draws 2 cards and goes to 7. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in the graveyard. Maybe 5 since we just removed one.
I think it's lethal if he has a Cunning Wish here.
I think so too. So this is interesting. We'll see what ends up happening now. If all he can do is pass the turn, we're in trouble. We're in very big trouble. So we'll see. Oh, there's Intuition for Cunning Wish. We've cast 1. Do we have 3 more in the deck?
No, only 2.
All right. Well, that could be a problem if Hockey fishes this out.
I feel like you almost go to. I don't know how you bluff this. The way that you get the Cunning Wish is by bluffing that it's not the card that you want, so you don't get 2, you just get 1.
Right.
But there's nothing else that Hockey would be particularly scared of. I mean, 2 ices would do it.
So we have the mana for 2 ices. Okay.
Yeah. So if he has 1 ice in hand, he could go Cunning Wish, Ice, Fire Ice, something like that, and that's a winning line.
Yeah, even if we just have 1, we can force a block with the Visara and at least pump the Psychatog enough to survive it. And then it's Psychatog versus Psychatog. Although Hockey probably has enough to deal 10 between a full grip and his graveyard.
Yes.
Necro and Psychatog is a This is a solid combo. Hockey's like, yeah, thanks. I don't mind if I do. I mean, what? Hockey's got 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in his graveyard. He probably has a full grip. So that's enough to deal 10 if Chad can't block.
Right.
So I think Chad.
That's really awkward. I mean, maybe you go Cunning Wish, Fire Ice, and if he gives you the Fire Ice, you hope to ice one and draw the other ice.
That is a line. I don't. That seems.
I mean, how else? It's like you're saying,
Yeah. I mean, that might be the line. That might be where we are. Hope that we our draw step, or the ice draws into the other one. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. I mean, yeah. Oof. Well, that's not for us to figure out. It's for us to talk about. So we'll let Chad go through those mental gymnastics.
Oh, he's deep in the tank. He's like, how can I?
Accumulated knowledge. Okay. Are we just going to... What do we...
I don't know.
What do we want to draw? Because we have 1 accumulated knowledge, I believe, in the graveyard already. So this will be draw 4.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But he's not going to have enough mana left over.
Has he? If he hasn't played a land this turn, he could.
He needs 4 mana for double ice, or 3 mana for 4 mana for Cunning Wish, Shadow Rift. So
he plays his land. He's got 3 mana. All right, Chad, make it good. All right.
Yeah.
Bluff. Here we go. Attacking. Hockey now has the opportunity to mess this up. Visara is summoning sick, and this. For me, I think I'm snap blocking with my own copy of Psycatog.
Yeah. There's no trample here.
Yeah. I just snap block. If he doesn't pump enough, then I might pump to try to trade, just to get him to use up some resources. I've got this free graveyard that isn't really doing me much. I don't believe threshold matters for Hockey, so we're gonna discard Necropotence. Yeah, this card's not very good. Not right now. Second copy is no good. We're gonna remove Necropotence in a card. All right, so +2/+2. That's enough to kill. All right, so we're going to play this game where we're going to make Chad use up his resources, which is kind of a good, sub-game. I mean, Hockey's going to get to untap, I assume, and this Visara is going to kind of go the distance, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening right now does not matter. Like, the game is basically over. Like, whether Hockey keeps his own Psycatog or not is kind of irrelevant to the fact that he has a Visara in play.
Yeah.
That is going to untap, so...
Does Chad have any way to deal with this Visara in his deck?
With a Cunning Wish, sure, but so he could Cunning Wish for Capsize. Theoretically, Cunning Wish for Firestorm, although that's not very likely. Oh, Cunning Wish for Fire Covenant.
So Chad is bringing up a good point. With Necropotence in play, as we discard cards, do they go to the graveyard or do they go straight to exile?
No, they go to the graveyard. It's not a replacement effect; it's a trigger effect. So Hockey has time to discard the card, trigger on the stack, and then he can exile it in another card with the trigger on the stack.
So I see. So it is it's a trigger, so when you discard a card, it then gets removed with Necropotence. I see.
As a trigger, yeah. So you have time to respond to the trigger. You can remove it with Psycatog. So I believe that's what Hockey was doing.
That makes sense. All right. So it looks like we're going to exhaust some resources from Chad, and it's going to end up eating the other Psycatog, but then Hockey's going to get to untap here, skip his draw step, and he's going to be like, Cabal Therapy. All right, what are we going to therapy for?
He's naming Counterspell.
Oh, we get a Counterspell, and we've got land.
2 lands, yeah.
Okay, well, this is... shields are completely down for Chad here. If we tap this Visara, we'll go ahead and... ooh, that seals the deal right there. Now we've got the escape hatch. We can kill the Psycatog now, which I think is probably just the safest way not to lose. And then if we get a hasty Psycatog, we have the deed. Or we can just blow it all up now and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Now, like, do we still play around the hasty Tog? And Hockey's going to say no. I'm going to put you to 5. You have 1 turn. You have no relevant cards in hand.
No, and so this is the problem again. So he needs both Shadow Rift and Shallow Grave. So it's just not going to happen.
We don't have it. We don't have it. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for game 1 here. Chad had 2 lands and drew a card. I mean, so I guess we don't have accumulated knowledge anymore. Is there a way to draw multiple cards and still have mana here? I don't think so. No, we passed the turn, Hockey untapped, and he's just saying, yep. I know where the game's going. All right, cool. Well, Hockey's going to get the first game. We're going to move to sideboards here.
Yep. So he did the triple AK. So he drew 4 cards. So my double ice line would not have gotten them there either. He would have iced, drawn into something irrelevant, and that would have been it.
Oh man. Well, so let's see what Hockey and Chad have for next game.
Yeah, so Chad has a couple deep analysis, which I think are good here. I mean, it's possible that Hockey brings in some graveyard hate, but deep analysis is just a grindy card. He just needs to keep drawing cards to try to keep ahead of Hockey's card advantage. Engineer
do we think
pretty useless?
Do we think he brings in any of his little silver bullets that he has for Cunning Wish? You know, a duress might seem better in the main deck. You don't really want to wish for a duress.
You can't. Yeah. So that duress is not a wish target. So
that's true.
He probably.
So we bring in the duress. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe take out the main deck Pyroclasm and bring in a Forbid. You know, like.
Sure.
You'd rather have that counter spell than a Pyroclasm, unless you think maybe Hockey is on like a Deranged Hermit, and then maybe you want to keep the Pyroclasm in just in case.
I feel like the creatures that we saw Visara the Dreadful and we saw Nether Spirit. That tells me there's probably not a lot of creatures in the deck. True. But of all the creatures to be in there, Hermit is a pretty good one, so I could see that being the exception to this rule here. Especially since it does interact favorably with Animate Dead. But all right, what does Hockey have to bring in? Let's see.
I think two Phyrexian Furnace is great here. Furnace is the card that you want against Psycatog, not Tormod's Crypt.
Sure.
Tormod's Crypt, you only get to use 1 time. Phyrexian Furnace, you just keep taking their cards away slowly every turn. Don't let them get lethal.
Sure.
Lethal cards in graveyard.
I know that's always a battle that I have mentally. I always like Tormod's Crypt, but Phyrexian Furnace does see a lot of play, and that is a very good call out for decks like Psycatog that don't care about the graveyard quality. They just need a lot of graveyard cards.
So Hockey has Oath of Druids backup plan in his sideboard. Do you think he brings that in?
No, I can't see that being brought in simply because I think Hockey's got enough of a control plan, enough cards that interact favorably with Chad's win condition that I think the strategy of you have to play your win condition before I do my thing is not the best situation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's just not enough. Maybe if he was also on like Shadow Mage Infiltrator or something, he had a second creature, it might be worth it.
Then I could see it being worthwhile. But it looks like they're done sideboarding and they're gonna start resolving their hands here. So we'll see what new cards, if any, came in.
I bet Hockey just brings in the 2 Furnaces. I don't think Coffin Purge is probably good enough. I don't know. Maybe against AK, maybe bringing the Coffin Purge. Maybe second Nether Spirit.
Yeah, if there's cards in your deck that you feel are particularly bad, I could see that being the case. I mean, Hockey does have a Gigapede as one of his creatures. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want something else. But I mean, I think that's it. I think hockey is just well suited for this deck.
Yeah.
And we'll see what changes, if any, he's made. We may just see the classic rock style control cards and just do what they did last time.
Yeah, hockey doesn't really need to do anything different that he did the first game. Ooh, so end of hockey's turn. Chad fetches. Hockey in response plays Entomb. Chad in response plays Force of Will. So he really doesn't, I guess you probably suspect that Hockey's just going for Nether Spirit unless he has the nut animate dead draw, and then maybe he goes for like Phantom Neshoba or something, but you just don't want Entomb to resolve. It is a very good card.
I mean, 1 mana Demonic Tutor is a strong Magic card. So
yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, Chad saw what it did to him last game between getting the Nether Spirit, which admittedly Chad had to go through some hoops to get rid of, and that may have cost him some time. He had to use a wish, which may have helped him out in other ways later on in the game. So, if Chad doesn't have to let it resolve, then let's not let it resolve. So, and that's what he's chosen to do. Now, notably, Hockey's got this 3/3 threat, so we might see that. Oh, he's got the other 3/3 threat, the other meat.
Yeah, he's got an actual 3/3 threat and several potential 3/3 threats. Oh wow! And
ouch.
Chad counter spells Call the Herd. That is not where you want to be with a flashback card, countering a 3/3 for 3.
But the Rock is traditionally threat light, so a card like Call the Herd is nice because you get 2 threats from 1 card. But if Chad can answer both halves, then and Hockey doesn't have the next threat lined up, Chad might be in a better position to keep drawing cards, playing land, and set up his his combo kill. And if Hockey's attacking with his Treetop Village, he's not casting his controller disruptive spells. So
true. And typically one of the best ways to beat a rock deck is to attack their mana.
Yep.
So
definitely. All right. Well, Hockey's got a choice here. He's got 4 mana. Do we cast this Call of Herd or do we cast another card? We're gonna cast another card. All right. What do we name? What do we? We can't see Hockey's hand. Maybe. Looks like this might get prohibited. It did. Okay, so we left up. It looks like double blue. So maybe we're going to. Oh, Hockey's just says I'm gonna take something. You got rid of this prohibit. What are we gonna grab now? So we've got Fact or Fiction. That was
Cabal
solid.
Therapy for Fact or Fiction. That's.
Do we have a third one?
God. See, this is it's just so hard for the Psycatog player.
Oh, look at this. We're cashing in the Treetop Village to take the Intuition, leaving Chad with nothing. So Chad's got no cards in hand. And if Hockey's got another land, we're going to get another 3/3, and we're just going to start going to the Dome. And that's exactly what we see here. Flashback, Call the Herd, get a 3/3. And now it's Donald Duck versus Chad's life total.
Yep. There's something kind of like insulting about losing to a 4-mana 3/3. You're like, God, your deck couldn't even beat a 4-mana 3/3.
It's not even a trained Armageddon.
Is this a smother? That's a.
We're gonna tap it. Okay, so upkeep tap. All right, that's fine. Must be a woolly mammoth getting trapped in ice there. That was a bad dad joke. Sorry, chat. And I guess if I'm Hockey, I'm just thinking, okay, wow, look at these cards. This Powder Keg did come in this Gush. Holy moly.
And Hockey is surprised that Gush is even in this format, so he's done his homework.
Now, look at Gush here. It's a 5-mana spell, and we don't have 2 islands, so...
Yeah, God. It's
not exactly where we plan to be, but...
Oh, there we go.
Second island. Okay. That's not the worst place to be. We're tapping 2... Okay, so we're going to play the Powder Keg. All right. Keg is fine. We're going to immediately blow it, kill the elephant. Sure.
Sure, to keep Hockey from flashing back therapy.
Maybe. And we have another Call of the Herd. Okay.
Got elephants all day, folks.
Elephants all day. Now, do we cash in this Cabal Therapy? Yeah, so he's going to Gush, which makes sense. We can't really cast Cabal Therapy into the Gush now since we had 2 islands. We can't name islands with Cabal Therapy, so... Trained Armageddon makes great elephant tokens, by the way. Yes, it does, chat. Absolutely. So, did we Gush in response to this elephant?
Gushed in response to the elephant, and then before phases changed, Cunning Wish. But
okay.
Then Hockey can, but that means they're still in the main phase, which means that Hockey could Cabal Therapy
the wish target.
The wish target, yeah. So that's kind of awkward.
Well, do you think Chad is really just trying to throw cards into the graveyard to get rid of these elephants and hoping he can bait it? I mean, what did Chad get off of the wish? I did miss that.
I think he's still deciding, so he may be realizing this is kind of an awkward line. Because he could have just waited. I mean, like Hockey can't get the Gush from him, even if the spell were to resolve. So yeah, so he gets Coffin Purge.
Okay, which is
not
a really good hedge
Cabal
against.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we're gonna start eating cards away now. This late game Furnace isn't the most effective. We have too many cards kind of in the graveyard. We've hit the critical mass, but if there's, if we're worried about this Coffin Purge, then maybe. But
yeah, Furnace is good against reanimating Psycatog. It's also good against AKs. One AK.
Sure.
So it can get 1 card, but I mean, I don't think it's actually that bad here because I mean, like the game is slow. There's no threat in play. Hockey's just gonna remove a card. He's basically removing half a damage every turn.
Right.
For no cost. He just gets to do it.
So that's reasonable. Notably, card order in the graveyard does matter. Coffin Purge sitting on top, and we're hitting the bottom of the graveyard with Furnace. And we're going to come in for 3, first half of the token, and now we see the payoff card. This is what Hockey's deck is all about. Interact, trade resources, and then play Necropotence and restock. Hockey going down to 14 to grab some extra cards here. Now, Necropotence is notably one of the differences between middle school and pre-modern. For those of you who play a lot of pre-modern, you can't play Necropotence. You get Dark Ritual, but you don't get Necropotence. We've made that trade here at middle school, and Hockey is taking big advantage of it.
Yep, so he's just been duressed, and Hockey has duress, contamination, Gigapede, and
wow,
I think a deed.
So Gigapede and contamination. Tell me how that works.
I'm always what is contamination? Spells are countered?
No, contamination is Black Blood Moon, so all lands are swamps. But it has an upkeep cost of sacrifice a creature. So with Nether Spirit, it's great. You just sacrifice your Nether Spirit, and you get to keep contamination for free.
Right.
Now with Gigapede, Gigapede lets you keep bringing it back, but you have to cast it. And if all your lands are swamps, you can't really cast it.
So that's a bit of a nombo.
It is a bit of a nombo. But
yeah, Gigapede seems totally fine here. It's a great blocker for a Psycatog. It's a pretty quick clock. It keeps coming back.
Now, if Hockey can manage to grab an Entomb, we might just be able to Contamination lock Chat. Now, we do have that Coffin Purge still in the graveyard, so Hockey will have to remember to get rid of that if that's the route he wants to go.
Yeah, and Chad did duress the contamination away.
All right, so Chad is very much not looking to be contaminated here. All right, are we cashing this Furnace in for the Coffin Purge? Because it's hitting the yard. Why is it hitting the yard? But we may be cashing it in because we may be intending to blow up our Necropotence here.
Yeah, cashing it in, but Hockey's just trying to figure out what he should take with Furnace, because if he takes the Coffin Purge and Chad casts the Coffin Purge, then that means that he doesn't get his card.
Right. All right, Chad falls down to 7. Hockey's at 9. Hockey's going to cast a Duress here, it looks like. And Chad looks like he's got responses.
Fact or fiction seems like...
Yep, you called it. All right, Fire and Ice, Accumulated Knowledge, Swamp, Deep Analysis, Island. Okay, so solid cards, none of them game breakers, though. What pile do you think happens here? What does Chad, or not Chad, but what does Hockey want to do with these?
Yeah, he can do some kind of interesting piles knowing that he's going to probably resolve a Duress. I don't know if there's any cards left in Chad's hand. So he can get a little more funky than he normally could, knowing that actually, maybe give Chad a slightly different pile, knowing that Chad won't get to keep it.
So Duress resolves. We see Accumulated Knowledge, Deep Analysis, Mountain, and I believe another land.
Yeah.
So we take the Deep Analysis. That costs life to flashback. We've got pressure. We're just going to cast this Gigapede and present lethal. So Chad has the opportunity here to.
This is the exact way. Yeah, I don't see a way. I mean, this is again a situation where like he needs a hasted shadowed Psycatog. He doesn't even have a Psycatog in the graveyard.
No.
And he certainly can't cast 2 Cunning Wishes and all the stuff that he needs. This Gigapede is actually pretty relevant. In that it's going to deal a lot of damage, and Chad will have to chump block it. But he can't even. Yeah, he could. I mean, probably if Chad plays a Psycatog here, Hockey just blows up Deed for 3, attacks for 6 with Gigapede, and maybe has a Smother in hand with all the cards that he's drawing from Necro. So I think this seems pretty unwinnable for Chad here.
Yeah. I mean, like Chad has to fight to survive and then try to win. I don't know how we get there.
These games were like kind of close. They were maybe like, 60-40 in favor of Hockey, both games. But as soon as Hockey played Necro and started drawing, 5 cards a turn, the game was just over. Like, just get you like. I think there was kind of like a goofy line that Chad could have taken game 1 to get through, but it involved like, icing into another ice, which is incredibly unlikely. So
right. I mean, and let's say Chad can survive the next turn, by getting rid of this Gigapede. It doesn't come right back, and Hockey doesn't have to draw cards because he's already drawn a handful of cards. And if Chad is scrambling just to answer this, 6-1 that you can't target, I don't know how Chad does this. I mean, if Chad can answer the elephant token, he'll go to 1. But I mean, the Psycatog here, at least. The Psycatog will get blown up. We'll crack the Deed, start drawing cards, and then Gigapede will just be completely unlocked here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so if Chad, if he has the Pyroclasm here, he does have the Coffin Purge in the graveyard still, so he could get rid of the Gigapede, but like that's not a winning line. That's like a moral victory. That's not a real victory.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll take it, because how else are you targeting Gigapede?
Yeah, this is just this is one of the reasons why you don't play Psycatog. I mean, in this format. Another reason why you don't play Psycatog is Swords of Plowshares. That card just like makes Psycatog so much worse than it was in its extended heyday.
Oh yeah. No, it's really hard when Psycatog requires your play pattern to dump all of your resources into one card that is answered by 1 mana. I agree. But it does give you the feel goods, right?
Yeah, it's really sweet when it works. I mean, like you have a hard. It's like you have a hard time if the deck that you're playing against goes harder control than you are with all your counter spells and your smothers and things. Like you can beat fair decks and you can beat like mid-range decks. You can like get a Psycatog to stick, protect it with counter magic, get the Shadow Rift, attack through any creatures it has. But like
sure.
against Hockey's deck, Hockey just has too many ways. He has threats. He has more threats, and he has like kind of better answers than the Psycatog deck. So
Yep.
and he has Necro, which is absolutely insane. So it's
now,
just
do you feel like this might be a good signal for Psycatog decks to move back towards upheaval?
I think that's a reasonable approach. I mean, I think that swords alone makes playing Psycatog pretty iffy if you want to like win a tournament or even top 8 a tournament. But yeah, upheaval could be an answer.
That way at least
you
play Psycatog and another Haymaker. Upheaval is still a good card.
Yeah, true.
All right, what are we gonna? We're gonna fire ice. Are we casting fire or ice?
Ice only. It seems like ice would only be relevant here.
It'll stop the elephant. It'll let you survive. So that gets us to the next turn. But we cashed in. What was that? A wish? We wished for fire and ice. So that was rough. So we're gonna draw a card. We'll at least cycle this. Tap the elephant.
Yeah, these are don't die immediately lines. These are not winning lines. It's not. This isn't getting. This isn't leading to a victory from Chad. If he had a Psycatog in the now, there's still the deed.
I know.
God, there's no way.
And this comes back to the other staple of the format. Deed is a very powerful Magic card.
Yeah. I like Hockey's deck a lot, the Hockey Tweety deck a lot, because it really, it's just like, what are the most powerful one-drop cards? Duress, I'll play 4 of those. Cabal Therapy, I'll play 4 of those. Entomb, I'll play 4 of those. What's one of the best removal cards in the format? Pernicious Deed. All right, I'll play 4 of those. What's the best card draw engine in the format? Necro, I'll play 3 of those. So just playing all the best cards.
And that is a solid combination for sure. So we're going to Cabal Therapy. We don't have anything. I guess we flashed it back. Chad has fallen to 1. So we're there. Hockey's at 6. Looks like he's going to go for 1 more card. Maybe that's what put him to 6. Yep. All right, so Chad's going to untap here. And, shields are still sort of up for Hockey. We've got a blocker, unless Hockey blows it up, which is what we're going to see happen. Yeah. And now we have 2 smothers. Hockey shows a hand of 2 smothers. All right. Well, that's going to do it here. Hockey having all of the things, which makes sense because he was playing the card that gives him all of the things. And that kind of went about how we expected. Trading resources, and then Hockey gets to refill on Necropotence. Now, imagine those games if Hockey didn't draw the Necropotence and drew, something else.
Might have been a little bit closer. I mean, the really awkward thing here is that in this matchup, I think the Psycatog deck has to be the aggro deck, and this build of the Psycatog deck and Psycatog decks in general are not good at being the aggro deck. Like the 4 Gush 2-color Psycatog deck is probably the best aggro deck. Just like you're just turboing out Gush as fast as you can, and you can win pretty quickly. But typically, Psycatog decks are trying to play the control role. They're not trying to blitz out 20 damage.
Right. I strongly agree. Well, it looks like our next competitors are hanging out in our back end here. So we're going to come back with round 2 of our second week of middle school Magic for this league. I'm going to, just hop on over there, get them ready, and we'll be back shortly.
See you soon.
Hello, hello. We are back with more Middle School Magic. Woo! All right. It is again Lorian, and my name is Robert. How you doing, Lorian?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Robert? You have a nice little break?
I did have a nice little break. It was enjoyable. That's the word I'll use.
Okay. Well, cheers.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we've got Bobby here on the left, and we've got Mike here on the right. For those of you who have tuned into our streams before, especially last league, you've seen a lot of Mike. In fact, you saw Mike in the finals of last league. And Mike, being true to his self last league, he's come back with a very similar version of his deck this league. But Bobby is bringing something spicy to the table. Tell me a little bit about what he's bringing.
Bobby is bringing a Sly deck. I'm just looking here to see if there's anything different than normal. Looks like it's a 3 Wasteland, no Rashad Port version of Sly. So it plays Ball Lightning. That's probably like Ball Lightning is kind of the differentiator of different Sly decks. Sly decks that play like 4 Wasteland, 4 Rashad Port can't support Ball Lightning. So they either replace it with Blistering Firecat, or they just don't play a hasty trample guy at all.
So in a slide deck that I play Rashad Ports and I play 2 Ball Lightning. And it looks like Bobby's opting for the full 4 here. And I agree. If you're playing in a number of those colorless lands, it makes it really difficult because normally, you'll draw, 4 or 5 land and it'll be fine. But Sly really wants to hit these on curve, and you want to be casting Ball Lightning into the attack step on turn 3, and that requires 3 red sources, and Wastelands don't do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pull off. So I can't remember if it was in the semifinals or the quarterfinals, but this was basically one of the top 8 matches was Sly versus Elves. Now it's Sly versus Survival Elves, so that's a little bit different. I think Sly is actually a bit more on equal footing with a non-survival Elves deck. But I had a Sly deck and I played a bunch of games against the Survival Elves friend of mine just to see what it was like. And generally what I found was like at some point there's just no point in killing elves anymore. And you really just got to start burning face and racing and just worry about the cards that generate a huge amount of value that like the elf that taps for all elves in play that gives you that much green mana. Like
sure.
Priest, you got to kill Priest. You got to kill Priest, but
Priest,
you don't
like Symbiote. Yeah.
Yep. So this trade is fine here. A Mog Fanatic for a Mana Dork, that's fine. I'll be interested to see if Bobby keeps burning every elf he sees, or if he starts trying to go more for face.
So, in case you haven't noticed, Cat is out of the bag. Mike is on an elf deck, and his flavor of elf deck is Armageddon Elves. And so he's tweaked his list a bit and says, you know what? I can do myself one better and win this event. So he's coming in this league to try to win, where he was so close last time in the Elves Mirror. And I do agree. I think at some point you have to stop killing elves because, burn is the control, but it still needs its cards to win. And Elves is kind of the aggro, but also combo, so it puts burn in or Sly in a kind of rough spot. But I do agree with that trade. I think if you have the ability to remove this priest, it might be worthwhile because I think if you can get in kind of the mid turns, then the middle game, then elves you don't lose to that mana advantage that you otherwise would have. So I think this Incinerate is a good thing to do now. I like it, and it will let Bobby. If he's got bolts in hands, if he's got, Ball Lightning in a mountain, it'll really let him press his advantage. And maybe get in under this elf deck.
Yeah. I think elf is a it's not actually that fast of an aggro deck. So long as you're not doing ridiculous stuff with the mana, you actually have a few turns to put the win together as the Sly deck. So yeah, like right now, all Mike does is play a 1 mana Mana Dork. Like that's a pretty slow clock, and without a card like Survival, which could just let you do kind of wacky things, get lots of elves, get squee value, get Masticore into play. It's kind of a slow deck. I wonder if he has maybe a Sylvan Messenger in hand that he's hoping to resolve next turn.
Sylvan Messenger would be big game because, just drawing more card advantage of the permanent deck. The more permanents you can play, the better. And I mean, yeah, I think that would be great. This Finehorn Elves, I don't think is one we want to remove, so that would allow Mike to deploy his Sylvan Messenger if he has one.
Yep. Lavamancer, great here. Either repeated Burn to the Face or repeated, destroy one target elf. Yeah, the thing, I mean, Mike obviously he got second place, so his deck is good, but as a good deck, there are things that I don't like about it, namely the Armageddon and the Plow Under, this mana denial strategy, which, I mean, I guess it depends on what decks you think that you're going to play against. If you're going to be playing a lot of like slower decks or control decks, then those cards are great. But right now, like he could be sitting on something like a Plow Under or an Armageddon, and they wouldn't be very good here. But it looks
this
like
would be an Armageddon. This could be an Armageddon. No, it's a deranged tournament.
It's the deranged
so we're tapping.
So...
Okay, we're not attacking. That makes sense. And this is a problem card for Slide because it goes so wide.
Yes.
The Lavamancer can get rid of the Hermit. That clears 5 power off the table immediately. But then you still have all the other squirrels, and that will add up if you don't have the right tools deployed.
Yes, and it makes Gaia's Cradle insane.
Yes,
it makes Gaia's Cradle tap for tons of mana. So, I mean, if the best thing Bobby could do here is like burn the deranged hermit, or maybe not even burn the deranged hermit, just wasteland the Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah, if he can draw one of his wastelands, that would be great. If I was Bobby, looking at this plains, Armageddon doesn't normally threaten me, but I might not be so keen to play this mountain unless, my plan is to really try to get some Fire Blasts in. But I, would be kind of worried because we've got power on the board. We don't have to pay this Echo cost anymore. And if we just untap an Armageddon, there's 5 power versus, this 1/1 Lavamancer. If we don't have a land to activate, that could be an issue.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
That is something that is one thing that I have seen, in watching Mike last league, is there were a number of games where they people would trade and interact with his early elves, and then he'd get, just, a green idiot in play and cast Armageddon, and then, the green idiot would go the distance. So, well, okay, so if we're on the Fire Blast plan, this is exactly where I want to be. I want to be casting this Ball Lightning. I don't think we're going to block at all. Mike's going to take 6 damage. And, if we have 2 Fire Blasts in hands, what are we representing? We just dealt 6. And it looks like I've got these life totals here switched, so I'm going to just move that, paying no attention to the man behind the curtain. There we go. All right. So, looks like Mike's going to drop down to 13 here. If we've got the 2 Fire Blasts in hands, that's 8 damage, plus the 2 from the Lavamancer, that's 10. So Mike may not survive after this.
That's assuming a double Fire Blast in hand. I'm not sure.
That is assuming he's got double Fire Blast, which is not easy. So let's see. Does this go to the face? No, it goes to the board. Okay.
All right. So you're trying to... Yeah, I wonder what else is in his hand. I don't necessarily love that play. I don't think that Elves is really turning on anything that the Gaia's Cradle wouldn't be able to do anyway.
If we're worried about Armageddon, getting rid of the creature that makes mana is solid, because then if we have a mountain in hand, at least this Lavamancer turns on and starts shooting some of these. But now Sylvan Messenger is kind of
I might wait though. I might wait for the Armageddon to actually be cast.
Sure. Well, but if that's happening in the main phase, then then you can still tap that,
Sure, you get the mana one time. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mike's gonna reveal 4 cards. We've got 1 elf. We've got Armageddon. Oh, we've got 2 elves. We've got his ooh, that is the weird one. It makes insect tokens whenever you get an elf in play. We've got the Elvish Champion, but we did reveal Armageddon. So if Bobby recognizes that immediately, he's going to know what game Mike wants to play. But this 2/2 trample is big against this Slide deck. And so I think Bobby's wants to just throw the cards in his hand at his opponent's face if he can. He doesn't have much more time.
Yeah, he needs to race at this point. He can't outvalue Mike. He has to try to race, which is one reason why I was saying the Lavamancer. I'd rather just do Lavamancer face. I mean, he could have nothing in hand too, which means like he's probably going to lose no matter what he does. But
yep. I mean, what's Bobby's path to victory here might be another ball lightning with a fire blast.
Yeah.
And then
totally reasonable.
Hopefully a bolt. That's where you want to be. And that's only if Mike doesn't want to block, which I assume Mike attacks all out here. Oh, we've got another Cradle, so we're just going to keep going. Can we tap Cradle for mana? That's a lot of mana burn. We've got one card in hand, two cards in hand. We've got an Unknown and the Elvis Champion. So, what do we want to do here for 6 mana? We're going to overrun? Are we going to morph and overrun? And some of the elf decks I've played, that's been a primary strategy. You play 4 hermits. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We are going to travel 4 Mage, so we are going to overrun. That does leave a mana floating, so there should be a mana burn unless we can find something to throw it into, I believe. But I don't think Mike really cares about that right now, because if we choose Insect, we're going to come in here for 12, I believe. Yeah. Which is gives Bobby a turn. Yeah, all right. So, getting in while the shields are down, Lavamancer tap. So yeah, I agree. Activating Lavamancer there has cost Bobby some life points.
Yeah, it could be the difference in the game here. I mean, it's always, Sly is always just going to win by a little bit. It's going to be very rare for it to win by a lot, so like that 2 damage matters. You got to get every piece of the buffalo.
Yep.
In order to win these games. So
all right, well, Bobby's going to agree with you there that he was just a little bit short of going all in for that. So, seeing the cards from Bobby's side that we saw, maybe the only real thing that we really didn't like was shooting that elf that one turn. Everything else is seemed pretty standard. So maybe Bobby just didn't have the tools to win that game.
But, yeah, double Gaia's Cradle, Deranged Hermit, and Sylvan Messenger. Mike drew pretty well. Bobby seemed to draw pretty average for Sly, high, very high floor on the Sly deck, but very low ceiling. So you're getting almost the same. You're playing the same game almost every game that you play with Sly deck.
Yep. So in sideboard, Bobby's got a few cards that he might bring in here. He does have 2 copies of Pyrokinesis and 2 copies of Ensnaring Bridge. We've seen Stu piloting Sly to great success, also bringing in Ensnaring Bridge against some elf decks sometimes. Do we think that that's something that we want to do here, knowing that we're playing against Armageddon?
Ooh, yeah, Armageddon with Ensnaring Bridge would be very bad.
Right?
It'd be pretty useless. I mean, I'm skeptical of it. If Stu has had success, then I believe that works, and maybe you can empty your hand, keep your hand empty, so the 1/1s can't attack. But yeah, seems pretty bad against Armageddon. Now, I don't know if I would do that.
Notably, also, Ensnaring Bridge does support a Cursed Scroll pretty well, but you have to be able to cast the stuff frequently. And again, Armageddon makes that hard. Now, Pyrokinesis, though, that's great. You don't need mana for that spell. And, you're going to at least trade evenly. You're going to get 2 for 2, hopefully all the time, with at least. You might even be able to get 2 for 3. So yeah, Bobby has some tools.
I really liked it was Stu that played the was it Stu? Whoever was playing the Sly in the top 4 last time had a single copy of Pyrostatic Pillar. That seemed very strong against Elves. I was pretty impressed by the work that did.
I think that is a strong card. If you are playing it in your 75, this is definitely a matchup I would want to bring it in, because it definitely benefits the Sly player to the play patterns that Elves has. I mean, your permanent deck, you want to play all your permanents, and guess what? The majority of them cost 3 or less. So you will take damage, and you will take it quickly. Now, hiding out in Mike's sideboard, having played against our Sly players last league, has included a really sweet sideboard card for this matchup specifically.
Yeah, absolute. 2 copies of Absolute Law. All creatures gain protection from red. Seems pretty good against the Sly deck.
Oh, yes. So now, the one thing that Absolute Law does do is it does make the Sly player not misplay. And that means the Sly player has to aim everything at the face. So no options. Everything becomes a lava spike. We're only going to the face. So we'll see. We know Mike's going to bring that in. We'll see if Mike gets into play, how it shapes the game. We saw last game he didn't need it by any means. So now Bobby's on the play this time, so maybe that will make a difference here. Do you think there's anything else Mike has that he's going to want to bring in?
Probably brings in the singular Well-Wisher to maybe gain some life. Likely that it won't live, but probably easy to take out a card for the Well-Wisher. You might... I was kind of debating whether you bring in one or both of the Collar of the Claw, because even if one elf gets bolted and you Collar of the Claw, that's 2/2/2s.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Which is kind of relevant. And if you get blown up by Pyrokinesis and you have the Collar of the Claw, that's probably game over.
It probably
just
is.
win right there.
Now, also hiding out in his board is a single copy of Stealer Resolve, which is also really great against burn spells. So we've got... Elves here has a lot of tools. So depending on how Mike thinks this Sly deck is configured, if it's more burn heavy, we may see the Stealer Resolve with these Absolute Laws.
And I would probably bring all that stuff in and take out the Plow Unders and the Armageddons. I can understand that Armageddon is good in some situations against Sly, but I think in most cases you would rather just have a 3-mana 2/2 with Flash that probably gets you a second 2/2. That seems better than an Armageddon, and certainly better than a Plow Under.
Plow Under, red needs to draw spells that deal damage, and if you put 2 lands on top of their deck, that's 2 turns. They're not doing that. That may be something to consider. Now, 5 mana is not really what you want to be doing. Deploying more threats and permanents is probably the best bet. So I agree with you there. I'd be willing to take out these Armageddons and the Plow Unders to make room for this stuff, because Stealer Resolve and Absolute Law are going to be great. They're going to let you permanents resolve and stay resolved. And Collar of the Claw is pretty solid if you don't have any of those other 2 cards. So we'll see what Mike chose to do here. Both having relevant sideboard cards, Bobby having a little bit fewer. We'll see what Mike has chosen to do. And so far, Bobby has started slowly.
What could he have in his hand where he goes turn 1 pass, turn 2 pass? This is a Sly player, for God's sake.
I mean, you may have some reactive spells, so maybe you want to incinerate, the first thing that gets played, so you can cast Ball Lightning, and then have a Fire Blast and hope to draw the rest of the damage.
Yeah. He's on the play though. I would want a lightning start. I would. Did he mulligan? Did he mulligan to 6? If he didn't mulligan to 6, I probably would have. I don't know. Maybe he has 4 Ball Lightning in play, and that's just his path to victory.
Maybe. I mean, hey, that is a way to win the game. I mean, it's possible that we're just trying to bluff some stuff, and maybe we just have a lot of bolts, and then maybe we're just gonna play a 3rd land and have Curse Scroll. All right, so we're going to take 1 here. Mike's going to drop down to 18.
Oh, is he playing Absolute Law here?
And if that's the case, then that's going to inform... Yeah. Yep. All right, that's going to inform a lot of decisions from Bobby now. Pyrokinesis is now turned off. The only way to kill these elves is going to be Curse Scroll. So,
Bobby not knowing what Absolute Law does... finds out, says, "Oh yeah, that seems good."
So yeah, now Bobby can't misplay. Everything goes to the dome. Pyrokinesis is now a dead card. And now we're gonna get to see, was Bobby sitting on Ball Lightnings? Mike notably has deployed no threats, opting to wait until Absolute Law is in play. So we're just gonna Sorcery Speed, Volcanic Hammer to the face. You're at 15.
Sorcery speed volcanic hammer on turn 3, having played nothing turn 1 or turn 2.
This is middle school magic, everybody. Only the best here at Romancing the Stones.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he has like double Fire Blast in hand or something. Like maybe it's just he just has a nuts.
As a Sly player, I really hope that's the case because we love to see that.
Yeah,
and going
you
to
love
game
to
3
see
would be
it.
exciting. But I mean, Mike chose to wait 2 turns to before playing any permanents, and the way Bobby has played, that has proven advantageous. Now we're going to see a fetch here at the end of turn. Maybe we'll see an end of turn bolt, and that's just off to the races. I've got 3 land. I'm going to use all of it every turn to throw damage at you. But
yeah, and that's why I would probably mulligan to 6 here. Like, so let's say that Bobby would have gotten a Jackal Pup. Then if Mike wants to do the cute play of waiting until turn 2 to play anything and play the Absolute Law, he's going to take 4 damage off the pup. So
I can't imagine Jackal Pup is still in the deck if we have other sideboard cards. I feel like against this creature deck, that's the first thing I want to remove.
Especially on the draw. Especially on the draw.
I think the creatures I want are Mog Fanatic and Ball Lightning. And yeah, we're just going to bolt to the face. Instant speed Lava Spike. Can't mess that one up. That goes straight to the dome. Mike's going to fall to 12. Bobby's going to draw his card, untap his land, lay a 4th mountain. We are in double Fire Blast territory. All right, come on, be still my beating heart. Let's get there. If we Ball Lightning and have double Fire Blast, that's enough for the win. We've got Ensnaring Bridge. He did bring it in. All right, hand check. How many cards do we have in hand? We have a Curse Scroll. We are tapped out. What do we have? What is the hand size here? We have 2 cards in hand. All right, that's good enough for now, but that won't be good enough once we untap. Do we think Mike has brought in any ways to remove this Ensnaring Bridge? He does have 4 cards that can deal with it in the sideboard. Do you think he's brought in any?
Yeah, so I think that's like the real question is, so assuming that Ensnaring Bridge is probably not on his radar, so like does he bring Naturalize to take care of Curse Scroll or Sulfuric Vortex? Maybe.
I mean, the only way Sulfuric Vortex is going to matter is if we are really deep on this Well-Wisher plan. I don't think that's what Mike is thinking. I think you just board in Well-Wisher because you have one and you want to take out these bad cards. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And we're not really worried about the Sulfuric Vortex, because if Bobby's life total gets too low, we just go wide, and that might be enough. But the combination of Ensnaring Bridge and Curse Scroll might be enough here, because now we can deal with permanents that we need to deal with, and we can go straight for the dome. Oh, we have the Armageddon! It's still in the deck! Ah! That's how we deal with Ensnaring Bridge. All right, well, we're going to see a Fire Blast. Let's see if we have a second one. We have another card in hand. Is it another Fire Blast? No, sir, it is not. All right. So, we have this Ensnaring Bridge. We have 1 card in hand, and we have this Curse Scroll that is very far from being relevant anymore. And Mike has an Absolute Law and a Mana Source. So, Mike's deciding, okay, hey, I'm just going to beat it this way. We're going to Bobby's going to draw and say go. That's unfortunate.
Man, Mike really getting rewarded here for playing the.
And look at the land we've sandbagged. This foil Gaia's Cradle. Oh, Mike with the swagger here. All right. Well, all right. So we're going to tap it for 1. We're going to attack for 1, and Bobby's going to drop to 16. Okay, so.
Yeah, this is why I would prefer to keep a more aggressive hand as the Sly player, because like trying to play this Ensnaring Bridge Curse Scroll game, I mean, you get punished by Armageddon. You'll also just get punished by a bunch of elves. Like
you will. It's hard, but like I mean, there are a lot of bad spells that could be in the deck. Like you immediately take out the 4 Jackal Pups, and so you're bringing in 2 Ensnaring Bridges and 2 Pyrokinesis. And then that's just easy, I feel like. And then you just hope Ensnaring Bridge gets you there. You get to the mid game. Oh, but look at this now. We're going to go down to 1 card in hand, which can become relevant. This Mog Fanatic will go to the dome, so Mike's at a virtual 6 right now. We can still block and ping. No, we can't block. They have protection from red. So these creatures are unblockable too. Another notable thing. So maybe Bobby can, draw another land, maybe draw another 1-mana burn spell, and then, or draw a land and cast a 2-mana burn spell, and then go down to 0 cards. So Bobby isn't out of the game yet. It's not great.
Yeah. Mike doesn't have that much of a clock. He probably has to keep at least one creature back as a blocker because he is only at 7 life. So it's still an interesting game. So
yeah. Now, great thing about Absolute Law, blockers for days because none of them will die.
Right. You just need one. You just need to hold back one.
So now, if we get to Ball Lightning territory again, that story might change, but thankfully we're a little far from that. But we're gonna profit off this Gaia's Cradle.
Like a deranged hermit.
Ooh, yeah, that's now notably those squirrels can't attack right now. So if we can get rid of one of these cards in my hand, and we did, 2 land is great. All right, no cards in hand. What are we casting? Volcanic Hammer. Cast it now.
Volcanic Hammer.
Take 3.
All right.
Mike is at a virtual 3 now. He's going to take 3, go down to 4, but this Mog Fanatic is threatening to put him in bolt range. And Mike can't attack. So Ensnaring Bridge coming back, battling through this Armageddon. Maybe turning us around here.
Yeah. Snaring Bridge could be enough. Even through an Armageddon. I mean, I will say, I think Bobby got a little lucky drawing. I don't know if he had another land in hand. He definitely drew one of them.
He's drawn both of them. He did have a turn of draw go.
Draw go, okay.
Go. So he's drawn 2 lands in a row now, which as a red player is something you really don't want to do, but now you do. So, and 2 land is enough to make most of his deck function.
For sure. I mean, Incinerate, Volcanic Hammer, Lightning Bolt. He doesn't really...
So one thing to note is Mike has not updated his life total at the moment. He is at 4. I'm sure Bobby is aware of that, and when we get to the moment it matters, that will update. Sylvan Messenger is going to net 2 cards. Looks like, is that an Acolyte and a Force Mage? All right, well, Force Mage is great if you can get in under the bridge. So that might be enough to kill Bobby all out if we can get under the bridge. But right now, we can't. No cards in hand. This bridge is good.
It's doing some work. Yeah, so Mike does have...
He did bring in the Call of the Claws. Okay, he's just playing a dude.
He has himself at 3 on his die counter. So I wonder... Bolted him. All right, we're going to game 3.
Okay.
All right.
So we got there through Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. Now, notably for this 3rd game, Mike's going to be on the play. So this will be an interesting way to see. We'll see what kind of hand Bobby wants to log into, if any.
Yep. So Bobby doesn't even pretend that he's going to change sideboard plans for game 3 here.
I respect it.
Going with what works.
Honest slide player. Nope, I'm just doing it. And that makes sense, right? I mean, there's not really any decisions to make at this point. We've brought in the relevant cards, we've taken in the bad cards, and
yeah, you don't take out Pyrokinesis just because they showed you Absolute Law. You just hope that you draw the Pyrokinesis before they play the Absolute Law.
Right.
Well, yeah, this is an interesting... The game 2 played out very interestingly. I would not have thought that Armageddon and Ensnaring Bridge would have been so relevant. But the stars aligned. Armageddon was awesome. And then Ensnaring Bridge into double land draw was also very good. So I'll be interested to see how game 3 plays out.
Andrew Webb saying Ensnaring Bridge was relevant just to spite you, Lorian.
Yeah, right. I see that. Somebody else saying that I'll come around to Armageddon one day. I mean, I honestly haven't seen that card play against Sly a lot, so I could be wrong. I'm totally willing to accept that. I just have the bad take here. Armageddon is the best card against Sly.
So I think on paper, Armageddon is great against Sly because it's a deck that doesn't want a lot of mana, and so it's not going to have a lot of mana. So if you get rid of it all, it's not going to be able to come back faster than you. Now,
yes,
unfortunately,
if you have the threats, if you also have the threats in play to block the creatures that Sly has already established, yeah.
Unfortunately, I think the problem here is every Sly player that I know, myself included, is cursed by the drawing more land than you have any right to be drawing in your deck. It's like, oh, I have so many live spells, draw land. All right, maybe next turn, draw land. All right, well, and I think that is why we put Ensnaring Bridge in our decks, because we will draw out, be able to play our land and play our spells, and why Armageddon is actually bad against Sly players, because we are all cursed to draw more land than we have any right doing.
Right, despite the fact that you're also playing 8 fetch lands.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Every time I've played Legacy Baron for a very long time, and I played 19 land and like 9 fetches, and it's always you just draw more land than you have any right drawing. So it's just one of the features of playing Mountains. I feel like they all kind of attract each other.
I gotta say, so, all Sly decks are pretty similar. Like, they play a lot of the same cards, maybe like 40 of the same cards. I like Bobby's list because it appears that he's not playing any burn spell that deals less than 3 damage. So he's not playing any like shock effect, no firebolt, no seal of fire, just lightning bolts, incinerate, volcanic hammer. I can respect that. You just want to deal the maximum damage for a burn spell.
So this to me makes me feel like it is more burn than Sly. So we opt for more burn spells, no Goblin Cadets, notably, which is how I like to play Red specifically. A little bit different than Stu's version. Stu is more on the sort of mid-range build and not quite as burn heavy. He plays a lot more lands, but he's definitely all in on the port effects, which we made the notion that he was playing 3 Wasteland, not 4, and I think that's the right number of non-basic lands when you're playing Ball Lightning. But notably, he's playing Wasteland over Port, and Port is objectively a much stronger card in the format than Wasteland.
Yeah, I think it depends on the kind of problem that you're trying to solve and the approach to the to the game that you're taking. I think if you're playing Port, you're playing a much grindier, slower game.
Yep.
You're just going to go many more turns. Here we see turn 2 Absolute Law.
Turn 2 Absolute Law. So Mike had it. I didn't see if he mulliganed for it, but he definitely had it, which makes this Lavamancer less than great. It's going to get a good attack, though. I foresee a land and Volcanic Hammer. Bob is going to drop down to 18 as he fetches again. Notably, Mike hasn't taken any damage. Oh, nope, he should be at 18 as well, and he's adjusted his life total there. Okay.
Yes.
So I predict a Volcanic Hammer. Just good old classic, here, catch this magic. And I'm going to attack from this Lavamancer. But we will see what Bobby has in store as he shuffles up there from fetching. All right, 2 mountains. What is this? Jackal Pups as Doges. All right, so tell me about the interaction between Jackal Pup and Absolute Law.
That interaction is pretty bad.
I
mean, it would be bad. It's not like it actually. Well, yeah. I mean, it's worse because Jackal Pup doesn't even trade. But
this is not exactly how Bobby drew it up. Now, I am surprised to see Jackal Pup still in the matchup, especially on the draw here.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what we took out.
Particularly awkward. I mean, maybe literally Bobby just brought in 2 Pyrokinesis, in which case he could have just taken out 2 Jackal Pup, which means that he could have kept 2 in, and he happened to draw them both.
Sure. Do we think
awkward here?
You think we took something else out for the Ensnaring Bridge then?
Oh, good point.
I mean, it's possible. Bobby may decide, he may not know exactly what he wants. I mean, the right draw with these Jackal Pups could be great. Now this is disastrous. These Jackal Pups do nothing. They can't block. They can't attack. This was
they're so dead.
These
I mean, they're as
Pups,
dead as Pyrokinesis is dead. Like if
right.
if you would have drawn, it's equally dead.
You can't. But see, the problem is like you have Pyrokinesis and you want to get out of your hand, so you can. Oh, we're gonna waste the cradle. We see the wasteland. Yes. All right, so that's good.
Little bit of interaction here.
So if we're on Ensnaring Bridge plan, which is I think our path to victory right now, especially with this other creature, I think playing out these doges here are good if we want to empty our handful of cards. The problem is we can cast Pyrokinesis now on our Lava Men, but we can't even cast them on our doges here because we'll just take damage from our Jackal Pups.
Yes.
So
that is true. That is true.
Right. We can't even pitch the cards out. You know, I almost want to keep the Jackal Pups in my hand to pitch 2 Pyrokinesis so I can like aim it all at, one creature or something.
Yeah, I mean, probably you'd rather have Price of Progress over Jackal Pup because you're at least dealing 2 damage, maybe 4 damage to your opponent.
You know your opponent wants to keep hands with Brushland and wants to keep hands with Cradle, so that's reasonable. It does deal more damage, or as much damage as Jackal Pup is going to deal. So, we're seeing here why not including Stu's favorite sideboard card, oh my gosh, Anarchy, there we go, which does answer this absolute law. Not having Anarchy is going to cause some problems here. So yeah, we're just seeing these attacks, which cannot be blocked. They're free. And we now have a problem with Bobby. Bobby can attack and get in for 2 and take 2 more damage.
Oh yeah, I would if I were Bobby, I'd be very happy about this turn of events because like my thought is like I'm never going to get in with these Jackal Pups. So even getting in 2 damage with and taking 1 myself, like I would be very happy about that.
Sure, and then you get 1 off the table, which is probably fine because you don't have to worry about it being a liability.
And it's fodder for Grim Lavamancer too.
It is fodder. All right, so yeah, no, this was fine.
Yeah, I might even I don't know. What do you think about the play of attacking with a Grim Lavamancer and 2 Jackal Pups to kind of like trade the Lavamancer so you get in an extra damage with Jackal Pup? I guess it kind of depends on whether you think long term you're going to have enough cards in your graveyard for 2 Lavamancers to be relevant.
If I don't have gas in hand, I'm fine with that. I think that's totally reasonable. I'd almost want to attack with both of them because it's gonna kind of have a similar effect. And I'm not. If I want to use my mana for something else, then I can attack with both of them. Probably trades with a Jackal Pup, and then you have mana to activate both next turn.
Yes. Although Chet did point out that there is a Quirion Ranger in play, so thank you, Chat. So he can't actually block. He can't actually block both if he wants to.
No, the Ambush Viper! You're gonna get Ambush Vipered.
Oh, but I don't think he sees it.
Oh, you mean? Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't see it. All right, so
that's just a free block. Like you lose no momentum unless your plan is to play. Like you want that Gaze Cradle in play in your hand, and you don't want to have to play this Forest. I don't know.
Yeah, so worked out despite the fact that had the perfect setup for the sneaky double block there.
I know, that would have been, I would have liked that Ambush Viper. So Chat is pointing out that he's on 7. I'm not sure who that's referencing to. I'm not sure if that's referencing to a life total discrepancy. We are trying out life totals for the first time live on camera, so some of our players may not be as used to using them. So if they are incorrect, we apologize, but our players will know what's going on and we'll make it through together. Mike is after the 2 Lavamancers. Yeah, maybe. So right now we're representing 4 damage with these Lava Men. Right. Look at this champion buffing up these elves. I think Bobby's got 2 turns. He's got, what is it? That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 power right now. So if he attacks with everything they can attack, that's 9 damage. Can Bobby deal Virtual 7. Yeah. So can we... We're going to deal 4 now at the end of turn.
So I can incinerate, maybe?
Okay. I'm here for this. So if we incinerate down to 8, we Lava Men down to 6, then we can untap Lava Men and bring them down to 2. So we have another burn spell that costs 1 mana. We're there. This may be all we need to do. All right, let's see if Bobby has it. Again, absolute law, preventing us from making mistakes and shooting creatures. Now, right. if he's got it here, does Mike regret the not ambush vipering this dog? That will be the play that they watch this back. I'm sorry if you're watching the replay, and that is what has happened. I don't know yet.
Doesn't seem like Bobby has it, unless
he's not. He's not going straight for it. He's
like, am I missing the math here? Is there some?
We have a Fire Blast, one-time dealer. Oh man, maybe he's just trying to make sure he can't like lose. You know, we've got 3 virtual blockers because of the Aquarian Rangers, so we're definitely not getting in for damage. We've got 2. Oh, all right, here we go. All right, Mike, you are at 2 life. Do we have a 1 mana burn spell? Do we have a free burn spell? Are we stuck on pyrokinesis in our hand?
Oh, no, he didn't have it. He
what's
didn't
in your
have
hand?
it.
Show us! Show us what's in the hand! Oh, man.
A close game, though. That was a good game.
That was good.
That was a good series.
Oh, man. Bobby, you made us all here wishing you had showed us what your hand was and knowing what was going on. I'm sure he told Mike what he had. Holy moly. Well, that was close. Like you said, red never wins by a mile.
No. but often loses by it.
Often, yeah, this is true. It's a wonder why any of us play red, right? You know, if that's the case. Mm-hmm. So, well, I mean, Mike's gonna take this 2 games to 1 here. Showing up again, giving us another good show. Bobby doing his best to play the red cards here. Man, absolute. I looked at absolute law and I keep thinking, okay, so you can't burn the creatures, but making them unblockable was actually a pretty big game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely ends the game quickly one way or another.
Well, so how's your league going? You're playing this league, right? How's it going?
It's going so well. So I played hockey.
Okay.
Match 1, and I won't say what I'm on, but I'll just say not great against Pernicious Deed. So kind of fell off the rails there. And then second round, I won instantaneously because I got the bye.
The bye.
So 1-1.
From league champion to bye winner. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I still have my match this week to go. I get to play Tweety. So whenever we get around to playing, you guys tune into that. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting. Tweety's a great guy. But thank you all for joining us. That's going to do it for us this week. Tune in next week. We'll bring you more middle school magic here at 7 p.m. Central. And we'll have probably 2 new commentators because we like to rotate this hot seat all the time.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me, and have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it easy, everybody.